Thank you guys for joining us tonight. For tonight's topic is the frequency of God. Definitely something I believe that we can all tune into when we understand the totality that all that God is. And so let's explore that topic tonight. And I wanted to start off with the Fibonacci sequence, uh, not really created, but more discovered by Leonardo Fibonacci. What he discovered was a pattern in nature, and that pattern started with adding up some numbers. So 1 plus 1 is 2, uh, 1 plus 2 is 3, and then we're taking the last number that equaled out and putting it in being the first number in the sequence. So again, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, 5 plus 8 is 13, and then you would add again 13 plus 21, and so on and so forth. So what this is it creates like the golden ratio, right? So when you take 13 and divide it by the last number 8, you get a number that's 1.618. It's very, there it is, 0.618. That's the golden ratio. It's in all kinds of things, all in nature. And what's really interesting is it's almost like literally like a frequency, the golden ratio, and the way it works with these numbers. It's all over the place in everything that we find in nature. And when we take these numbers, and so I said 1 plus 1 is 2, and then 2 plus 1 is 3, right? 3 plus 2 is 5. So we did 1 and 1, and then 2, and these are two blocks by 2. This one's a 3 by 3 and a 5 by 5. So as we add all those numbers into this kind of matrix, it creates a spiral. So this is a incredible design that we see all throughout nature, right? And as big as it gets, we take the next number. What's the next number sequence after 21? It's 34. So if we were to add 34 in there, it'd be, it would continue to spiral on and on and on. I just don't have a picture of that big. Here, okay. So here's 34, 55. And like I said, no matter how big, it's going to continue to be the same amount of spiral coming out. 89, 144. We've heard that number before. 144 is a resonant frequency for sure, 144,000 in the Bible. So these spirals create our entire life, all nature, right? Everything that we see, from shells, um, pine cones, even the way that these pine cones spiral out. Each one is a completely, some are more perfect than others, but they're all spiraling out and they're all forming in the same way with geometry and math. It's everywhere in nature that we look. We literally see these designs all over the place, from fish and shellfish and animals and people. Um, Flowers, the way that flowers spiral out is the Fibonacci sequence. The horns of a ram, the tail of a seahorse. It's everywhere, from the big to the small, to the microcosm to the macrocosm. Hurricanes, galaxies. There's nothing that we can't zoom out and zoom into enough that we're not going to see these patterns, no matter how big or small. I do believe that's part of the, we were created in the image of God, right? We're all spirals too. No matter what. Even in the top left hand corner, you see the fetus in there, developing embryo. I guess at that point, embryo developing in the spiral like patterns as well. Even in our fingerprints, flowers, we see the Fibonacci sequence in waves. Even how water, creates waves and tides. So as we look deeper into nature, then we will understand everything better. No matter how far we zoom in or zoom out, we see the same patterns over and over again. Meaning, we are a microcosm of the macrocosm, each and every single one of us. I think it's even really cool that we see a lot of these, crop circles that are created in the same Fibonacci pattern. These are one of the things about mathematics and geometry. It's the language of God, literally. I mean, not everybody on our planet speaks the same language. We have many, many, many different languages, but math is always the same. 1 plus 1 is always 2, and they may have different words for it, but that matrix of how numbers work and how numbers create things, and that's always the same. Math is always the same. It is a universal language. And where there's matter, there's geometry, no matter what. Even down to the smallest DNA. The DNA is a double helix spiral wave pattern, just like a galaxy or a hurricane. So again, we take those numbers, 8 and divided by 5, and we get like 1.618. As we go out into that sequence, the farther out we get, when we divide the last number by the number before in the sequence, you get a number that's even closer to the golden ratio. So it's almost like as this number sequence evolves out, you're actually becoming closer and closer to the golden ratio, more symmetrical, more perfect, more divine, more beautiful to look at. But every single one of those numbers is in the abdomen of the ant, to the whole body. No matter what, your hand to your arm length is the Fibonacci sequence. Your finger. So I mean, when we close our hands, you can take that little tiny part of your finger, your fingertip, and then the next part and the next part. And when you divide those parts, it's the Fibonacci sequence. That's why when you close your hand, you have a spiral in your hand. You literally have a spiral in your hand. Like, that's because your hand is a Fibonacci sequence. Each one of these pieces is 1.618, to the next. And heartbeats and galaxies, no matter where you look, the feathers of a peacock, the DNA molecule is literally the Fibonacci sequence. The whole body of a human, no matter how tall or how short someone is, the proportions of a human in their face and their body, the nose is 1.618 linked to the mouth, 1.618 from the eyes to the nose, the eyebrows, and really, the closer they are to the golden ratio, usually the more attractive, the more symmetrical these people are. Just like the evolution rolling out, the farther we go out to the sequence, and we take that last number divided by the number before it, you're going to get a number that's even closer to the golden ratio, even closer to that 1.618. And divine, it's like a divine ratio. And again, there's no doubt when you really think about it and you see some of these pictures, and you're like, I didn't even think about that. My ear is a spiral. Again, the hand is a spiral. The arms, the forearm, the hand, and then the even smaller one inside of the hand. Like I said, each individual digit. And that's what I said earlier. Even your hand has a spiral in it. The way that trees, that way that they grow, and then they're constantly kind of spinning around and throwing out branches as it gets bigger and bigger. And these branches, the way that it grows branches out, helps balance it out too. So these numbers you see, 21, 8, 13, and the total number of branches on each larger branch is a Fibonacci sequence, but it helps balance it out to create a more sturdy tree. So even the way that the plants actually grow, they're growing to the Fibonacci sequence. It's basically God's divine blueprint, right? And I mean, again, may not be something most people see as positive or whatever, but it's still the way, a hurricane, the dimensions of a hurricane is still in that Fibonacci sequence, and the same of a galaxy or anything else. It's just so incredibly awesome to realize that there are as many atoms in a single molecule of your DNA as there are stars in the galaxy. So each and every single one of us, ourself, is a tiny universe. You know what I mean? All of us have these Fibonacci sequences in us, these spirals in us, this DNA that spirals out. We all have the same amount of molecules as the galaxy does. No matter how far we zoom in or zoom out of the universe, we see the same things over again. So you zoom out and see a galaxy, you zoom in, even to you or to me. We are our own little universe with our own little laws and our own belief systems and everything else. That's something incredible to realize for a second, just to sit here and contemplate and just like let that soak in. Like you are truly your own universe with your own laws and belief systems, and how powerful each and every single one of us are. It's that, kind of this Godsmack moment where we're just like, all the dots are connecting and we realize we're divine. All these sacred geometry symbols, the way that cells split in the body to become multi-cell organisms, the way the stars work in the galaxy, really, when it comes down to it, when we really look at it, we really do see the same patterns and the same things evolving in the same way, and different things evolving in the same way. It really is this divine blueprint of how the universe is constantly working. And, if we just pay attention a little bit, we realize, like, I am not separate from that. Each and every single one of us, we are part of nature. And, even looking at this, close up of an eye, it looks like a forest. And there's no doubt about it. Like, when Christ referred to people as, trees, a good tree doesn't bear bad fruit, he wasn't talking about the trees out in nature. We ourselves are walking, talking trees. And I mean, right here, look at it. Your fingerprint and the cross section of a tree itself. I mean, they're almost identical. And each and every cross section is just as unique as each and every fingerprint is. Isn't it that crazy that no matter how many billion people there are on the planet right now, 7 to 8, and how many billions or trillions have been on the planet, no one has the same fingerprint. Each and every one of us completely the same in how we evolve and how we grow and everything else, but completely unique into the story of the universe. Part of, just incredible. And now, by taking that little bit of information I just gave you, that there's a Fibonacci sequence, that all life kind of manifests in the same way, you can take these numbers and you can use them for whatever you want to, and you can make stronger buildings. You can use it in architecture. You can create the pyramids this way, and these buildings will be more sound, more sturdy, and have kind of a divine essence about them by just building buildings with these same numbers that nature has, shown us, and creates life in general. When we create our buildings and we create our music, when we create, our life, we need to have these frequencies and these numbers in mind, if you want to have, a healthier, happier lifestyle. Because certainly the universe and nature is showing us that this world is literally just spiraling out of creation, and we're all a part of it. We're definitely not separate from it. This is a very cool one. Just broccoli. I forgot the name of it exactly, but it's a fractal spiraling broccoli. Literally looks like this. I've seen it at the stores before, and just incredible. But each one of these is a little kind of universe in itself, right? Spiraling out. And what's incredible about that is Benoit Mandelbrot actually found this in mathematics when computers would start becoming out in the 70s and whatever. He was able to come up with a mathematical equation that showed fractal geometry, and he created an equation that could be infinitely zoomed in or zoomed out of, and it was basically like fractals, and they call it this was the Buddha bro, basically, right? This is what it came up with when you type that equation and you put it into a computer. This is what you get, and it looks like a little Buddha on its side. There's definitely no doubt about that. But anyway, this image could be zoomed in infinitely. So you just pick any point in that image and just start zooming in, and you'll see the same images over and over again, no matter what part of the cracks that are spirals that you want to start at. You're going to see the same things over and over and over, and you're going to get the same pictures over again. Incredible, absolutely incredible information that he was able to. And again, I don't think that it was something he created. I believe that it's something that he discovered. He discovered that mathematics is fractals, that creation is fractals. Is something that it's something to discover, not something that to create. We're literally understanding it and realizing how nature works. And so, we are nature. No matter, you look at a leaf, you look at the human heart and the blood vessels inside of it, the river network of the Amazon, no matter how far you zoom in or zoom out, we see the same stuff over again. So now that we've got the Fibonacci sequence, now that we've talked a little bit about fractals, this is probably one of the most incredible discoveries I feel like we should learn in school, but we never did. At least I definitely did in the school I went to, and most people I know did. But cymatics is literally the study of sound vibrations. Um, an incredible thing that actually sound does have vibrations and it creates images. This is water with just like a water droplet being vibrated by frequencies to create images. The first that I in my research that I found was a guy named Ernest Cladney who took a violin bow and a metal plate and he put sand on it and he would strum the violin bow down the side and it would create images. Just like this is a still shot of those kind of pictures and images, and he jotted them all down, from the most simple to the most complex. Each image that he got, and he was recording all of these. And every time he strummed his bow in a different way, in a different sound, he got a different image. The sound literally shifted into geometry, which I think is absolutely incredible. And I think this is an incredible statement too by Max Planck. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force. We must assume behind that force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter, meaning that the way everything works, right? The way the stars, move around, like obviously our sun is not stationary, it's moving in time and space. Our planets are moving and revolving around it. The galaxies are moving. Our universe is probably moving around in this multiverse. And the way everything moves around, the way everything dances is all part of this incredible vibration that's literally, just kind of beneath the surface of everything. It's everywhere. It's omnipotent. It's omnipresent. It's all the time. It's constantly happening. So again, this is a metal plate with salt or sugar, crystalline structure on it being vibrated through frequency. I thought about adding a, video, but just for the sake of time, I just would do still images. I would suggest that you guys all just look up cymatics, go on YouTube, whatever. Just type it in. You'll find incredible pictures. You'll see incredible, images from, the sand shifting in different ways. And what's cool is like you look at these and there's different hertz, right? Different hertz create very specific images. And a lot of these you've probably seen Sumerian artwork, you've seen on glass windows in churches, on the sides of pyramids. These images are everywhere. You just have to be a little bit more aware of what you're looking at, know what you're looking at to know that, they're putting images on churches and like that to explain, this is sound technology. So one of the coolest ones is, that I've seen recently is, so cymatics is they're usually doing salt or sugar on a metal plate, and then you get like that two-dimensional image change. But again, I think if you didn't have any gravity in there, you'd have a multi-dimensional shape that was in there that you could see. But I think the next best thing that we could see is like cornstarch. To vibrate cornstarch in a bowl with these same frequencies creates incredible images. And some of the best ones that I've seen, when they're moving all around, it literally looks like people dancing, and animals and life itself. They're just moving around dancing in cornstarch. You stop the music and it falls down, but it looks like arms and legs and heads and just moving and dancing. And when I saw that for the first time, I was like, oh my God, that's us. That there's a sound, there's got to be a frequency that's being played throughout the entire universe that's organizing and creating and helping us evolve and grow. That's on the underlining of everything, that everything is moving and dancing according to this song that's being played. That's why they call it the universe. And this is a water droplet with the same frequencies being played in it, so you can see that geometry in it. And you guys know about Dr. Emoto. He put words and sounds and music and played them for water, and then froze the water really fast, and he got crystalline images. as long as they're positive, are prayed over, thankful, peace, love, harmony. Definitely got negative with no symmetry in the negative words and or pictures and people, and sometimes rock music, really heavy metals and things like that definitely created um, images that weren't symmetrical, whatever. But he froze that water, and you looked at a microscope, and these are the images he saw under his microscope, which blew me away. So these are again that's the geometry of that music or that song or that word. Even words hold vibration. That's why they call it spelling. It holds a spell, it holds a vibration. The thoughts that you think, the emotions that you feel, the words that you say, the things that you wear on your clothes, all of it has a vibration, and all of it's moving all the time. Nothing's ever really still. Even the earth, while we're on it, is moving what 16,000 miles an hour through time and space, like kind of like a car. You feel like you're still when you're driving, but if that car was to suddenly stop, you'd all uh, go through the windshield, or if you didn't have your seatbelt on. Same thing. I mean, our Earth is still moving fast around. Everything is moving all the time. But here, uh, in these images right here of these snowflake-like images, crystal images, what's important about these are certain frequencies, 396 and 639, 741, 852. And what's really cool about these is that if you change all the numbers up, they're all the same numbers for each image. Not every single one, but the same images are used over again. Same numbers are used over again, like in a matrix where they're changed up. So like 528, 852, they're changed up, and there are other ones that are lower in the hertz and higher in hertz, but they create these snowflake like images. So when you're watching somatics on YouTube, and the metal plate has these frequencies being played in it, what's fascinating is you got this one image, and as the frequency starts to get higher and higher and higher and higher, it holds, and then all of a sudden it just one quick change of the hertz, and man, everything just changes abruptly and super quickly. um, and that is it's just astonishing that they hold these frequencies just for a while, and then all of a sudden, bam, once that frequency gets high enough, it changes into something else. Now this is a prelude to another talk that'll happen later on, but that is what's going on our Earth right now. We're having a frequency sweep. That's why everything is to be sped up, and everything seems to be changing so rapidly. We are in a frequency sweep, and the the hertz of the Earth, which is the Schumann Cabinet resonance, was said to be about 7 hertz. And they thought, 100 years ago, that was just what it was going to be and what it would always be, until the 80s, where it started to really rise up. And I think we're almost about 14 hertz now. So we've almost doubled in my lifetime. So we are going up in a higher vibrational frequency. We're having a frequency sweep. We can call that ascension. We can call that whatever we want to, but we are literally, uh, you know, the music of the earth is speeding up to a more harmonious, symmetrical, if you will, harmonious frequency that we can either match or we won't. Plain and simple. It's not any judgment on it. You either match it or you don't. If you don't match it, you'll get a chance to go somewhere else and use your vibration somewhere else. But this earth is having a frequency sweep, and so we have to move along with it. And it's just incredible that, I mean, here again, these are the hertz, 1021, 241, and these are plates, just what I was showing you before, metal plates, and sand and sugar or something on it. Salt, you can do with salt too. But just look at the coherency here, where these obviously look exactly like this turtle shell. So all life, you know what I mean? Again, these are two-dimensional images of salt or sugar on a flat plate. But if we didn't have gravity, this is what we would see probably. A multi-dimensional, most people say three-dimensional, but you know, an animal that's living and breathing, and the whole reason for its whole existence of what it looks like has to do with the sound vibration that's emitting from this earth. So I would honestly suggest that as our frequency changes, the human beings, the animals, the plant life on this planet will literally change right along with it. Some of the things may still look similar, but some of the old things that we had may not be here anymore, and they may evolve to look completely different than they did before. Now, continually talking about that sound, the sound that resonates through all the universe, through all life, through all the multiverse, probably even, right? And we have this symbol called the Om in Eastern religions that they came up with. And to me, a symbol is something it's important, right? They didn't just write this little 30 down and be like, oh man, this is what we're going to call the frequency of God right here. We're going to call it the Om, and we're just going to make it up. So I don't believe in that. In fact, I had a bit of a download one day after watching hours and hours and hours of the cymatics. It hit me that I just looked at this, metal plate, and I was like, that's the Ohm sign in there, but it's the microcosm of the macrocosm. Now, if this right here doesn't make your hair stand up on your edge of your in your arms, you're in the wrong Zoom call tonight. Because to me, this is absolutely 100% proof that this symbol came from somewhere. They didn't just make it up, but it is. I just took a pen and I just drew over the top. It's just a microcosm of the macrocosm. The dots are there and everything, and I just cut it in half. You know what I mean? Again, this would extend out, but you can't put that whole thing on a piece of paper or on a symbol or something. You just have to take a portion of it. It may not work for you, but to me, this is 100% coherence. That I had a moment, I had a revelation, I had a realization. I was like, this thing came from somewhere. This symbol came into my life. I was very attracted to it, just like cymatics did. And then all of a sudden, I took those synchronicities and I made them one. And I realized, whoa, this thing's came to my life for a reason, to show me something. What an incredible symbol here, and what an incredible thing to realize. Like, these people are talking about something that's real. They're not just made it up. This symbol literally, goes along with somatic pictures that you see. It's just absolutely astonishing and amazing. Changed my life, and made me really honestly understand that God really is a frequency. It's a way of being. It's a way of understanding, of tuning in to who we really are. The science of God and how to tune into God frequencies. We all know that quantum physics is teaching us that we need to tune into God, but it's not just the frequency. The gain or volume of the frequency is equally important, right? So when we're talking about those frequencies earlier, 852, 741, 639, the scientific chart shows us analysis of which God frequencies have the highest gain and which chakras operate at those frequencies. In order to stimulate the chakral vibrations, they must be struck, just as a piano string must be struck to an acute vibration. A tuning fork of the matching frequency works best, but due to their small size, the blow must be forceful. River rocks work well also. You can hit these frequencies and tune up yourself. Like, literally, I believe that we all get out of tune. Our emotions get us out of tune. Our thoughts, our beliefs, our laws to our own universe get us out of tune. And we need yoga, healthy eating, living spring water, mantras, meditation. All of those things help us tune up a little bit more. But I definitely believe the frequencies. There's a reason why these monks sit on top of mountaintops and Om and chant and sing these ancestral songs of frequency with these ancient languages that create tones and vibrations in our body that's different than English, right? It's not a very powerful language. It's very almost kind of a dumbed down language in comparison to even Hebrew or Greek or Latin. But when you go back to Sanskrit and those things, these really, very vibrational frequency languages, to me, they're almost like technologies to open up these chakra points in us. And so these are a little bit more extended of some of the ones we've already seen, 174 to 963. But again, if you look across the line on each and every one of them, 174 becomes 417 to 741. 396 to 639 to 963. They're the same numbers switched. Very, very cool, very incredible patterns of geometry there to see, to know, to recognize, and to realize, that each one of these frequencies does different things for people. One of the things I would probably suggest right away, if you've never heard of these and you wanted to sit down and have a meditation with one, 528, it's a frequency of love. It repairs DNA. Um, uh, just quickly, one of the first times I ever really started to meditate, listening to some of these tones like this, imagining, being like a wave of energy, letting go of my name and everything. I had huge revelations listening to these things. And I would say, when you listen to 174 that removes pain, think about yourself removing the pain. The liberation of fear and guilt. When you listen to 396, think about that. Allow yourself to let go of the fear and the guilt that we've all felt for so many dumb things, right? That we should have been better. So, no, man, life is tough and it's hard, and this is, just you're going to experience things. That's fine. you know Things are going to happen. Don't, bring yourself down and hate yourself because of something that you did. Let that go. But when you're listening to certain things, research it and find out what all these have. uh, what do they have in tune with them? What do they help with? What do they help release? And really imagine those things happening where you listen to these tones. Listen to them overnight sometimes, while you're asleep. I've experienced incredible um, revelations, aha moments, eureka moments, whatever you want to call them, just by listening to these. Sitting in meditation, laying in the dark in my bed. A number of really cool things have happened just by really listening to this kind of music. And one other thing I think it's important to, the frequency of music is out of tune. Um, I believe we were at what was it, what there 440, and we completely, it was 432, and then they changed it to 440. It's an unharmonious sound, right? An unharmonious frequency as 432 is. So all music and everything has been really lined up and tuned to this music that's out of vibration with everything else. And I feel like if we went back to what we had before this change, for whatever reason it was done, to that 432 frequency, it would really change um, everything for us, as far as more harmonious music and lifestyles. And it's just really interesting. While we all of a sudden just everything was from 432 and went to 440. But I think if we were to tune musical instruments and everything back to that, much more harmonious, more loving people, and a people that we would be. So the environment is in us, not outside of us. The trees are our lungs, the rivers are our bloodstreams. We are all interconnected, and what you do to the environment, ultimately, we do to ourselves. We are not separate from the whole. We are all connected to the sun, the earth, the air. You don't have a life. You are life. Each and every one of us are the universe. We are life itself. We're not separate from it, wishing to be a part of it. I think that's part of whatever has happened to us in the past, through music, through culture, um, through religion, education. We've all got off on to a path that makes us see ourselves as separate. We're not good enough. But to be honest, each and every one of us is as good as anybody who ever has came or who ever will. And we're just as important. We're just as connected. We just have to go inside ourselves and see that connection again, and to hear that frequency of God that's inside of all of us, that's creating everything, and that we're all a part of it. No matter if we look at a brain cell, the birth of a cell in our own eyes, we see the same things over and over again, each and every one of us, the same as the birth of a star, the death of a star, of a nebula. You have a nebula in your own eye. Each of us are made of stardust, created and pulled together in a way to be completely special, to be completely unique. And we aren't even, not even the slightest, seeing how incredible each and every single one of us are. And each and every single one of us out there, not because of the color of someone's skin or their political views or how cool their car is, but because they are here and that they exist. That each and every single person that's alive is a beautiful universe with a beautiful frequency. They may not be the smartest or the best or the most understanding. That's okay. Let them be them and let them be their lives, but just to go out in our life, I think how incredible your life would change if you were to walk out your door every day realizing like, I can't wait to meet the next person. I can't wait to meet the next universe. I can't wait to, see what their laws are, what their laws of the universe are. Can't see how they, done up their body and their life and their belief systems and their heart, and to look at their character. I can't wait to, learn some more today about this incredible universe, instead of, seeing with our eyes this kind of tainted and almost just dumbed down reality that's just been really manipulated in a way to we think that, oh, I live on this crappy street in this crappy part of town, or it's just, no, it's just really incredible place to be, just to be alive, just to be here and now. um, we just need to tune in to that higher vibrational frequency, and realize that, what if God really is just a metaphor for the universe, and we really are created in its image? We really are God. Christ said, "Ye are all gods," and I do believe that, and I'm starting to believe it. I'm starting to know it. That God really is a frequency that exists inside of me, inside of you, and all we have to do is tune in and realize, like, there's nothing else. There's nothing else to fear. There's nothing else to worry about. There's nothing else to believe that I don't have. Nothing. Everything is here inside of me. Everything that I need. And God is with me all the time, and I just have to tune in. He never left. I feel like I'm the prodigal son. I've gone out, I've done all the things, but God never left me. Always there waiting for me to come back. Unconditional love, waiting for me to come back to realize, like, this been there all along. And I think each and every one of us realize that at some point, that, God is unconditional love. And when we have those incredible moments, sometimes, usually by ourselves, in our living rooms or our bedrooms, where you feel completely enamored by that unconditional love for us, that God really does love you, then your life is completely changed. And you just work for those moments, to get back on that pedestal, back on that wave, to feel it all the time. Because I've been given that message. I've been given that information that, it's not something to get while you're at church, or while you're with your most spiritual friends, or while you're in some, retreat in Bali. The greatest spirituality is have it here with you all the time, wherever you go. When you go to the grocery store, when you go to the doctor's office, when you bring that most incredible natural essence of yourself wherever you go, and you light up the room wherever you are. That to me is the most incredible part of spirituality. It's not something that you have to get when you're at some place or you're listening to some music. That music is here now all the time. And I just want to say thank you guys for joining me tonight. It's definitely a pleasure to, express some of these ideas that I just love to talk about. So thanks for being here. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Namaste.